Hey, welcome back to GearZ. Well, we're showing you how to take somebody's old project and make it your new project. Yeah, and a great example of that is this old 77 Jeep CJ5. Because obviously it was owned by an enthusiast at one time, but then it swapped owners several times. People did their own work to it, and it ended up not running. Nobody knew anything about it. And that is very typical of what you might find out there, which means this kind of project is not only about you doing what you want to do to it, but it's also about fixing, maybe restoring something that somebody else has done. So, first thing we did was pull off that piece together 4-inch lift. For example, we replaced the old piece together 4-inch lift with a new skyjacker lift, shocks, and extended brake hoses. We also corrected some wheel bearing and suspension issues and put new gear lube in the axles, the transmission, and the transfer case. Okay, with all that being done, it is time to deal with that engine. Now remember, we got this as a non-runner, but the seller did say that that motor was freshly rebuilt. It's just been sitting for a long time because of clutch issues. So we're going to see if we can get to the bottom of that. Also, we've been through the fuel system, we've been through the electrical system, see if we can get this engine running again. And that brings up a common problem with V8 powered Jeeps, the exhaust system. The stock exhaust system was restrictive as heck, so most people put on headers. But the narrow frame makes it a tight fit around the starter and the clutch linkage. And creative exhaust work is required from the headers back. The first step is to get the old headers and the exhaust out of the way. And this not only reveals how cobbled up this exhaust was, but also some creative trimming on the skid plate. Okay, the old exhaust system is off. Now what? Well, fortunately, Hooker came out with a solution to the old long tube header issue with these Fender well headers. Now, these take the exhaust outside the frame rails down into a collector side pipe muffler combination. Now, I know what you're thinking. This usually means you have to cut out your inner fenders, which it looks cool on a gasser like this, but not really something that you want on a Jeep that's going to be flipping mud up onto those headers. Fortunately, you don't have to cut out the inner fenders with these, just a little trim. Let me show you what I'm talking about. As you can see, not only do all the pipes tuck right in behind the inner fender, but all of the factory braces still fit too. Speaking of the braces and the battery tray, now is a good time to clean those up and paint them or replace them if they're bad. Also, these Jeeps were notorious for rusting here on the rockers and up in the floors. Fortunately, ours doesn't have any rust through, but as you can see, it's got some surface rust starting. And if we don't do something about that in a couple years, we're going to have some rust holes. So we're going to clean that up and put on a coat of this POR 15 rust preventative paint. Now, this is designed to paint right over rusty metal and stop it in its tracks. But before we do this, we're going to lay out our side pipe. Now, like we said before, these headers are designed specifically for the Jeep CJ vehicles. And you can tell by the way they fit. However, this side pipe muffler collector thing is not a direct fit. It's a universal fit, which means you are going to have to come up with your own rear hanger here. But it comes with all of the bracketry and hardware that you're going to need to make your own hanger. Now, the cool thing about this is that you can make this outlet go wherever you want. You can take it straight out the side, you can angle it, you can turn it straight down, you can do whatever you want here. We're going to mount ours at about a 45 degree here. Okay, with the exhaust system dialed in, let's talk about tires. Now, when we bought the Jeep, it came with a brand new set of 35-inch tall tires and some old aluminum rims. Unfortunately, a 35-1250 is too big for a 4-inch lift on a CJ. Now, it may look cool going down the highway, but it's going to rub like crazy if you go off-road and start getting those axles moving. So, we're going to drop the size down to a 33-1250 from a 35. Now what that's going to do is drop the height down a little bit, but still give us the same width. And then the rubber we're going to use is this Mickey Thompson Baja Boss. This is probably the best all-around extreme mud tire that they make. For traction, you've got big wide voids here, and then you've got these little mud scoops to dig. and then the side biters are 50% bigger. And then for handling, you have an asymmetrical tread design, which is quieter, and it also gives you better handling. This is a really nice all-around tire. Now we're going to wrap that around these classic Baja locks, because this is just a great classic design, never goes out of style, and the size that we're going to use is a 15 by 10, because if you use your Jeeps off-road, it's nice to have that sidewall. Unfortunately, we are about out of time on this project today, but we have a new exhaust system on here. We've been through the fuel system, we've been through the electrical system, all with the assumption that this thing is going to run. So we probably ought to turn the key and find out. Oh man, oil pressure looks good. It's 50 pounds. Volts, things are charging. Man, this is great.